glass window with her notebook, scribbling poems while sipping her coffee. It was her quiet ritual, a small escape from the busy world. One rainy Tuesday, the bell above the door chimed, and a stranger walked in. His hair was damp, his coat dripping slightly from the storm outside. He glanced around the crowded cafe and, finding no empty tables, hesitated. Evelyn noticed his uncertain expression. Without thinking, she raised her hand. "You can sit here," she offered, pointing to the chair across from her. The man smiled, relieved. "Thank you. I'm Daniel." From that day, Daniel and Evelyn began to meet at the same window seat. At first, their conversations were simple: books, music, the rain outside. But slowly, those talks grew deeper. Daniel confessed his dream of becoming a photographer, of capturing fleeting moments before they disappeared. Evelyn admitted she wrote poems but rarely showed them to anyone. Weeks turned into months. The cafe became their world, his camera resting on the table, her notebook open between them. Their laughter mingled with the clinking of cups, their silences warm rather than awkward. One evening, as the sun set behind the window, Daniel slid a small photograph across the table. It was Evelyn, caught mid-laugh, her hair lit by golden light. "You always write about beauty," he said softly. "But you are part of it, too." Her eyes glistened as she whispered, "I only write because people like you remind me it exists." That night, as the cafe lights dimmed, Daniel leaned closer. With the scent of coffee and rain around them, their lips finally met, a kiss that felt both like a beginning and something long overdue. The world outside kept rushing, but in that corner cafe, time seemed to pause. Two strangers had found each other through a window on Maple Street, and neither wanted to let go. The cafe on Willow Street. On a rainy afternoon in October, Emma pushed open the door of a small cafe on Willow Street. She had just moved to town, carrying only a suitcase and the hope of starting fresh. The smell of roasted coffee beans wrapped around her like a blanket, and she chose a corner seat by the window. Moments later, a young man entered, shaking off raindrops from his coat. He noticed the only empty seat, across from Emma. With a polite smile, he asked, "Do you mind?" She shook her head, and he sat down. His name was Daniel, a local architect who loved sketching buildings in old notebooks. They started talking, first about the weather, then about books, travels, and little things that made them laugh. Rain kept falling outside, but inside the cafe, time seemed suspended. Daniel showed her sketches of bridges and rooftops, and Emma confessed her dream of writing a novel one day. "Maybe one day, I'll write about this cafe," she joked. Weeks turned into months. They met again and again, always at the same table by the window. Emma would bring her half-written chapters, Daniel would bring the sketches. They exchanged dreams like secret gifts, encouraging each other to believe in it. One evening, just as winter lights began to glow across the street, Daniel placed a small folded paper on the table. Emma opened it. It was a sketch of the cafe window, with two figures sitting inside, her and him. "I guess this is my way of saying," he said softly, "that this place feels different because of you." Emma felt her heart race. She reached across the table, touching his hand. "Then maybe it's time I admit something too. This place is only home to me because you're here." The rain had stopped, leaving the streets shining under the lamplight. When they stepped outside, Daniel opened his umbrella and held it over both of them. Emma slipped her hand into his, and neither of them let go. From that night on, Willow Street wasn't just the place Emma had moved to, it was where she had found love, tucked away in a cafe, on a rainy day that changed everything. The bridge at dawn. Lena had always loved walking by the old stone bridge at the edge of town. Every morning before work, she stopped there to watch the sun rise over the river. It was quiet, peaceful, and hers alone, until one morning she noticed someone else standing there. He was tall, wearing a navy coat, hands tucked into his pockets as he gazed at the water. When Lena hesitated, he turned, and their eyes met. He smiled, warm and unassuming. "Beautiful, isn't it?" he asked. She nodded. "I've been coming here for years. Never seen anyone else this early." First day, he said. Needed a place to think. His name was Adrian, a new teacher at the town school. One morning turned into two, then into weeks. Soon, Lena found herself adjusting her blocks, hoping he'd be there. They talked about everything: books, music, childhood dreams. He confessed he wanted to write a novel but feared he'd never finish. She admitted she was tired of her quiet routines but didn't know how to change. Some mornings were filled with laughter, others with silence that felt just as comfortable. The bridge became their place. One winter morning, snow dusted the stones. Adrian handed her a small notebook. "For your thoughts," he said. "Maybe one day you'll let me read them." She laughed softly. "Only if you let me read your novel first." Months passed, and what began as a chance meeting became something neither could ignore. Yet neither spoke the words they both felt. Fear held them back, fear of ruining what they already had. One dawn in spring, as cherry blossoms drifted in the breeze, Lena finally whispered, "I don't just come here for the sunrise anymore." Adrian's hand found hers. His voice was quiet but certain. "Neither do I." From then on, the bridge was no longer just a place of solitude, but a witness to something growing and fragile, yet strong: love, born quietly at dawn. A whisper in the rain. Elena had always loved the rain. It made the city streets shimmer like silver, and somehow, it made her feel alive. One evening, as she hurried home from work, a sudden downpour soaked everything around her. She ducked into a small cafe to escape the storm. Inside, the air was warm, scented with coffee and fresh pastries. She noticed a man sitting by the window, sketching in a notebook. His brow furrowed in concentration, a soft smile on his lips whenever the pencil glided over the paper. Something about him made her pause. As she ordered a coffee, she accidentally bumped into his table, sending his notebook sliding across the floor. "Oh, I'm so sorry," she exclaimed, kneeling to pick it up. The man looked up, his eyes catching hers. "No harm done," he said gently. "It's nice to meet someone who appreciates clumsy introductions." They talked for hours, oblivious to the rain outside. His name was Adrian, an artist who found beauty in the smallest details of life. Elena shared her love for stories, for the world she imagined in books. Each word they exchanged felt like a note in a melody only they could hear. Days turned into weeks, and they met in that same cafe whenever it rained. Sometimes, Adrian would sketch her as she read, capturing her laughter, her thoughtful gaze, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear. Elena would bring him stories she had written, watching him light up with every twist and turn. One evening, as the rain painted the streets once more, Adrian held her hand across the table. "I've been wanting to tell you this," he said softly. "I think I've fallen in love with you." Elena's heart raced. She squeezed his hand. "I think I've been waiting for you all my life," she whispered. And as the rain continued to fall, the world outside blurred, leaving only the warmth of two hearts finding each other in a quiet, crowded cafe. A moment in the rain. Emma had always loved the quiet corners of the city park, where the cherry blossoms whispered secrets to anyone who would listen. On a rainy afternoon, she found herself sitting on her favorite bench, a worn umbrella barely shielding her from the drizzle. She was lost in thought, sketching the rain patterns on the pavement, when a sudden splash startled her. "Sorry," a voice called. Emma looked up to see a man, drenched but smiling, holding a small, half-broken umbrella. His eyes were warm, and there was a gentle awkwardness in the way he laughed at himself. "No worries," Emma replied, gesturing to share her umbrella. They walked in silence at first, the rain their only companion. Slowly, words came, about favorite books, childhood dreams, and the little joys of life. With every step, Emma felt a strange familiarity, as if she had known him forever. At the park's fountain, he stopped. "I'm Alex," he said. "And I feel like I've been waiting for this moment all my life." Emma's heart skipped. "Emma," she whispered, feeling a warmth that had nothing to do with the chilly rain. For a moment, the world faded, the rain, the park, even time itself. Their hands brushed, then intertwined, holding on to a connection that felt both sudden and inevitable. The rain slowed, leaving behind a fresh, earthy scent. Alex leaned closer. "May I see you again?" he asked softly. Emma nodded, smiling. "I'd like that." As they parted that afternoon, the city seemed brighter, the blossoms more alive, and the rain no longer an interruption but a beginning. For in that fleeting encounter, Emma realized that sometimes, love doesn't need years, it just needs a single, perfect moment.